Okay, recording this video on Saturday, the 4th of January, 2020. Happy New Year to everyone. Do hope you are doing well. We've just arrived in Kauai, one of the beautiful islands in Hawaii. Going to be here for the next few months. Haven't had a good stay in France, in Europe this year, but I must admit it's good to be out of the cold and into some more kind of tropical weather. Anyway, so this video I'm going to talk about the end of trend signals rippling through the time frames. Always find kind of the beginning of January and the beginning of July really interesting times because you see kind of major asset class moves around that time. So might put up some videos this week about what we're seeing in the currencies and what we're seeing in the major asset classes. But in terms of equities, potentially we have a left shoulder lining up. And I always talk about the end of trend signals rippling through the time frames, and this is one way of looking at them. So, collection of 9 little charts here with beta sine wave on, showing pullback to end of trend. And each of these time frames is one is kind of greater than the one before. So we've got a 5-minute, a 9-minute, a 15-minute, a 27-minute, a 45, and 81 minutes, 135 minutes, and then the daily chart and a weekly chart. And the reason for choosing these time frames is each of these allows me to have an equal number of bars of equal time length corresponding to one day. So for example, there are 15 27-minute bars exactly in one E-mini day trading session. There are 9 exactly 45-minute bars in one E-mini day trading session. And there are 5 81-minute bars exactly and 3 135-minute bars. So that's why I've chosen these particular kind of time frames. And so what I'm showing you here is the rippling through of these time frames with end of trend signals. End of trend signals do not necessarily mean that there's going to be a reversal in the other direction. All it means is that the trending energy has exhausted itself, and we're going to move from a trending mode to a cyclical mode. So we go from trends into cycle and then the next trend. And the next trend could be a downtrend if we've been in an uptrend, or it could be a continuation of an uptrend kind of starting again. So we have kind of pre-Christmas around the 24th of December back here on the 27-minute chart. We have an end of trend signal go off here, and then we go into cyclical activity. So we're then waiting for the next kind of trending move to appear. Around that same period on the 45-minute chart, kind of end of December, again, a pullback to end of trend signal. Now these two signals were all happening around this little shoulder going on here. On the 81-minute chart, we're also putting in we completed putting in a pullback to end of trend. And the 135-minute chart, we put in a pullback level, and you can see that we're coming up to a cyclical cross here on the 135-minute chart. So in the next day or two, we're going to put in an end of trend signal here. So what that could mean is that we've got an important left shoulder being formed on the E-mini, and then on the daily chart that will kind of drop off until we find a pullback support level and then rise to make the end of trend signal. So I always find these interesting. As they kind of ripple through the time frames, it shows that the trending energy has exhausted itself, and we're going through some kind of cyclical pattern where we're putting in pullback to end of trends, and then we'll change trend direction. And my guess at this point, just because it's an important inflection point, we've kind of run out of steam a little bit on the higher time frames, that we're going to have a little bit of a drop off. But all it's showing is a left shoulder. This is not saying, you know, the end of the world is nigh. This is just that it's signaling an important kind of left shoulder being made up here at the 3,200 whatever level. So then if you look at the multiple time frame charts, you can see those patterns kind of rippling through. So if you start with a 15-minute chart, multiple time frames, so we've got the 3 time frames on here. The 15 minutes, then 3 times that, the 45 minutes, and then 3 times that with the 135-minute. You can see here we're making pullback to end of trend. There's some pullback to end of trends signaling here. We have a little bit of a drop off. We're putting in pullback to end of trend on the highest time frame here. On the lowest time frame, we put in a pullback to end of trend, and we've already got some weakness kind of going on here. We've got exhaustion buys and bearish divergence. We've got a little bit of weakness here with a drop in the last couple of bars on Friday's activity into potential weakness here. the critical level is going to be this 3,220, so 3,002 kind of 20 around here. If on Sunday into Monday's activity we put in that pullback to end of trend, maybe it will complete, maybe it won't, maybe it will, if everybody's reaction to the weekend news about Soleimani being killed, assassinated, whatever, and the reaction from what's happening in the Middle East, I mean, we could have a sharp kind of correction from the get-go on Sunday evening into Monday's trade, but kind of wait and see. So that's the 15-minute chart. Then you go up a time frame to the 45-minute, and you can see here, again, we're putting in this pullback to end of trend on that intermediate time frame, which is the 135-minute chart there, having had some strength. And again, on this chart, we have a lot of blue professional bars and an exhaustion buy going on here. So we've temporarily looks like we've kind of exhausted ourselves, but we need to drop through support levels in order to signal downtrends and weakness. So that's why the background is painted red on both of these charts. It's showing we're still technically in an uptrend. We need to start breaking support levels to kind of trigger us into those downtrends. And the 135-minute, same thing going on here. So the 135-minute, that lowest time frame, we're putting in that pullback to end of trend signal. Here it's showing not kind of blue professional bars up here, but Rambo patterns kind of into these highs into the Christmas kind of period. It just shows that it's kind of low volume, low average trade size, kind of amateur pushing up into these highs, and they often get kind of wrong-footed. You often see that around Christmas time because everybody's got a lot of time off, and so you tend to see amateurs trading around Christmas, after Christmas, into the new year, and so on. And to some extent, the professionals kind of game it. The low liquidity in that time periods allows for the price to be pushed around quite a lot. I think you'll have seen that in a lot of currency charts, particularly. But we can review some of that in the next few days. Then, lastly, the daily chart here. I've just put up the day data only, so this is not day and night. So at es.d is the day session only. You can see here Rambo patterns. They often can signal kind of areas where we just max out. In this particular case, no, we didn't max out here. But this last time around, kind of back in July, when would that be? July? Yeah, 19 this year. So we kind of maxed out a little bit, dropped off. Same thing going on here. So we've got Rambo patterns playing at the highs. But, it's still technically an uptrend. We don't have end of trend moves here. So all I'm suggesting is that here we're potentially making a little bit of a left shoulder from which we could have some weakness in the next week or so until we kind of drop down to a support level from which we can bounce. And then, so if you drop down to a tick bar chart, one of the ones on the longer term that you can look at is the 4500 tick bar chart here. And this is Friday's activity. This is the open on Friday. This is the close on Friday. So you've got quite a few days of activity here kind of leading up into Christmas, the New Year, and so on. You can see we maxed out with this strong uptrend on the 4500 tip bar chart with exhaustion buy, pullback end of trends. We just kept on pushing through here, and then we dropped off on Friday, and we've come back up with this weak kind of move. So in the background, we've had some confirmed downtrends. That's what the grey shows on this background. We're in limbo at the moment with this kind of black background, and again a drop through this support, which is at 34, 20, 32, 34 kind of level, could signal that we've going to break into some more weakness. So wait to see what happens on Sunday's open into Monday, and with the global security picture looking very uncertain at the moment, how Iran is going to react and so on. We could just see some interesting kind of trends start to develop. So look for a potential left shoulder being made.